Hey love, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss any, and the notification button so you don't miss any of my content. But today we are talking about protective styles. Yes, protective styles. Many of you wear protective styles for many different reasons, but let's talk about some of the benefits of wearing protective styles for your locks. One, protective styles reduces frizz in your locks. So some people, because of their texture, will have more frizz than others. So some people may want to reduce frizz on their locks, right? So protective style will help tame the frizz on their locks. Another benefit of wearing protective styles is that protective styles help reduce shrinkage, especially in the beginning phase. For people who are newly locked, you're in a budding phase. That is when you experience, that first year, 2 year, that's when you experience the most of the shrinkage you see going on, okay? Once you're locked completely, you don't have any shrinkage. You're not dealing with shrinkage. But in that new phase, you are going to experience shrinkage in the beginning phase. So protective styles help reduce the amount of shrinkage that you see. So it's just like being loose natural. Once you shampoo your hair, it's nice and elongated and you're like, yes, and your curls be popping through. Come on, curls, right? And then as soon as your hair dries up, the water is gone, the weight is gone, it shrivels up, right? Same thing with our locks. When you're newly locked, you shampoo your hair, and even before you shampoo, once you get your install, you can see day one of your install, your hair is nicely stretched, right? You go shampoo it, do all this other stuff, humidity hits it, and it like, so same thing. So once you shampoo your hair, it's nice and elongated. And then once it dries, it draws up. So protective styles are beneficial at this point, especially after the shampoo. You braid it or twist it to have it stretched. So it can stretch your hair so you can, once you take it out, you have some length, right? So the same thing loose naturals do to create length with their loose natural hair by doing twist outs and braid outs. Same thing with locks. You can do twist out and braid outs, which is a protective style, to extend the length of your hair. Without it, it will shrink and continues to draw up. Now, is it going to stop it from locking? No, we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But protective styles help with, even if you style it into like a flat twist updo, it's still stretching it, because once you take it down, you still see your length. So protective style helps with reducing shrinkage in your locks when you are newly fairly baby locked, okay? Another benefit of protective styles is it reduces bunching. Your hair starts to bunch or bud at the tip, right? And it starts working its way up and start to lock. So your hair will always lock from tip first and work its way down. So because of that, if you have a lot of loose ends, like a lot of loose hair out, so whether you started off with a perm relaxer or heat damaged hair, or whoever did your install did not left about 3, 4, 5 or whatever inches out, left a lot of hair out, to avoid the hair bunching, protective style will help with that, because once you're twisting it and braiding it, it keeps it stretched. And with it keeping, with the protective style keeping the lock stretched, it's harder for it to shrivel up. Okay, and we're gonna go into more details. I'm just giving the benefits right now. Okay, it's hard for it to shrivel up. So, and another reason why protective style is beneficial, it minimizes slippage in your locks. So when you bundle your hair to before you shampoo, and it's to protect the ends of your hair, is to keep the ends of your hair from unraveling. Protective Style does the same thing. So when recommendations are made to do protective styles to protect your hair from X, Y, and Z, that's really the main reasons why we encourage protective styles. So protective styles does help with minimizing or reducing or eliminating slippage. Okay, so those are 4 reasons why protective styles are very beneficial. Now, the best time to do protective styles, when one would need it, and typically when I recommend protective styles, is if you work out a lot and you sweat in your head a lot and you are newly locked. Mature lock people, this information right now don't really pertain to you. But if unless you cut your hair, you're having slippage and all this other stuff, you colored and your hair unraveled, then tune in. This pertains to you, okay? But if you work out, you sweat in your head a lot, you are newly locked, or you're mature, but you've done some things to your hair and now you have some slippage. Putting your hair in a protective style help with unraveling, with slippage, it helps with keeping the frizz down, it helps with the bunching, because all of the common denominator with all these, the slippage, the bunching, the frizz, the shrinkage, the common denominator is water. Okay, so water causes your hair to be wet. Water is a natural moisturizer. So when water hits the hair, whether it's water from sweat, water from shampooing your hair, whatever it is, if your ends are open and water hits it, it wants to, it softens the hair. The hair gets soft, it wants to unravel. So that's how the slippage happens. If your hair, shrinkage, if you're newly locked and you're battling with shrinkage, the water loosens the hair, loosens the lock, right? And then when it dries, what does it do when it dries? It shrivels up. When frizz, you might have you might have tied your hair down nice and neat at night, but then you go to work out, do your little workout, whatever it is, you start sweating in your head, and now your hair is wet and drenched, it gets frizzy again. So whatever that was laid down that night is now frizzy again, right? So when it comes to, and even with the bunching, as your hair shrinks, it is bunching together. It is gathering together. So bunching, shrinkage, slippage, frizz, the common denominator is water. And water will cause the hair to react to and causes slippage, bunching, shrinkage, and frizz, okay? So to prevent that from happening, or to minimize it, is to put it in a protective style. So when is the best time to wear a protective style? If you work out and you sweat a lot in your head, protective style. If you sweat a lot in your sleep, protective style. Protective style if you're going to the beach, you're going swimming, you're going to the pool, protective style. And this is for people who are newly locked. So that's when you would want to do protective styles, outside of wanting to be cute, okay? Because if you just want to be cute and you want to put some style in your hair, girl, baby, do it. Yes, sis, do it, okay? But protective style, just for, those reasons, I would say yes. Now, we talked about the when, and we talked about the why you would want to do protective style. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how long, because someone have asked me how long to keep those protective styles in. If you're going to work out and you do your hair in a protective style, and a protective style literally can be anything. Either whether you want something fancy, you can do so. Whether you want something quick and on the go, you can do that. So you can literally do 2 French braids going down. Make it cute, if you're going to the gym. If you're at home, you can do some silly plaits, But if you're going to the gym, don't do no silly plaits. Just do 2 French braids going back. Do some cornrows, and you're good, right? Once you're done working out, if you're going to shampoo your hair, keep your hair in those braids and stuff, and then shampoo your hair and let it dry. Once it dries, then you can take it out of the protective style. Because at this point, since your hair was braided, right? So it stayed in that style. So when you wet it, although it softened up, it did not shrivel up, it did not shrink, because it stayed stretched because of the protective style. And so when it dries stretch. So once it dries, you can take it out and not have to worry about it being not have to worry about slippage, shrinkage, and so forth, right? So how long you can keep it in, it all depends on what you're doing, but as soon as it dries, you can take it out. At night, if you sweat at night and you're doing a couple of braids, couple of French braids, or whatever it is, 2-strand twists, whatever it is, you do it at night before you go to bed. When you wake up, technically you should be done sweating by the time you wake up, get moving, do whatever you have to do. Then you can take it out of your protective style. And one of the benefits of doing those protective styles, you get these nice waves and curls and body and volume. So if you have thin hair, baby, you will enjoy this, okay? So yes, so as far as how long to keep it in, once it dries, you can take it out. So same thing when you go to shampoo your Nu Loxx. Once your hair is dry, you can take it out of the bundle. Some of you guys take it out of the bundle before your hair dries. No, just let it dry at least 90%. Let it be at least 90% dry before you take it out of the bundle. Okay? Now, if you want to leave the protective style because you did something cute, so you did some fishtail or barrel rolls, some braids pinned up, right? And you go work out, you do what you're doing, looking cute, all that stuff. You don't have to take it down because you put that style in there. I'm hoping you probably want to keep it for, I'm thinking you probably want to keep it for a couple of days. So that protective style on your head is good. So you can keep that in for a week. And then if you work out and sweat at night, I say a week because you want to take it down and shampoo your hair. Because if you're working out, you know, you don't want your hair stinking and you don't want nobody smelling your hair. So I say take it down, shampoo your hair, and, you know, good to go. So that's how long I would recommend you keeping those protective styles in, depending on what you're doing and what look you're going for. Yeah. Okay, now we've talked about the when, the how, whatever. Let's talk about what type of protective styles you can do. When I tell people to do protective style to reduce shrinkage, to reduce the bunching, to reduce the frizz, to reduce the slippage. Honestly, all you need to do is do a couple of braids, do 2 French braids. I love twist outs, you know, do 2-strand twists, and then take it out when you're done, when it's dry and you're done doing whatever you're doing, whether it's working out or whatever. 2-strand twists, braids, because you have, you know, 2-strand twists, that twist out, baby, those waves. The braids give you crinkles. Yeah, so, or you can do some two French braids. Those are the basic protective styles I'm talking about. But if you're, you know, want to be cute for a whole week, you can do some nice twisted updo thing. You can do some nice twisted braids or whatever, go into a bun. I mean, there's so much you can do to make it cute and be nice and right, honey. So, but typically when I'm giving tips when I tell people wear protective style to help with different things that they're trying to avoid, I'm mainly talking about 2-strand twists, twist outs, and braid outs. Those are what I'm mainly talking about. Okay. Now, things you want to consider when you're doing protective styles. Be considerate of tension. You do not want too much tension on your head, okay? Because we're trying to preserve our edges. We're trying to preserve our hair. We don't want to pull hair out of our head, scalp. So we want to protect our hair, okay? So be mindful of tension. Even when I do braid outs for people, I make sure it's really loose from the scalp, and then I get tight on the braid, but it's not tight on the scalp, right? So be nice and loose on the from the scalp and not do it tight. Even with twists, if you're doing protective styles, make sure that, you know, your eyes aren't like after you're done with your style. If you can't bend your head and if you can't wink, I can't wink, but I'm not good at winking. But if you can't wink, you can't do this, You can't laugh. You know, if you can't do any of that, it's too tight. Because I remember those days when I used to get braids, you laugh, and then you hear a ripple effect, hair popping because it's too tight. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We do not want to go back to those days, okay? So want to make sure you can rotate your head, bend, do all that stuff. Because if you can do all that stuff, you know it's not too tight, your hairline is protected, and so forth. So another question that was asked is if protective styles interfere with the locking process, which I thought was an excellent question, okay? So I want to say yes and no. That's what I'm going to say, yes and no. Yes, I would say it interferes with the locking process to an extent. Yes, because the protective styles tend to kind of keep your hair stretched, and it keeps the hair tight, and mainly it keeps the hair stretched. In order for your hair to lock, it needs to bunch up it needs to bunch. It needs to create that budding. It needs to shrink a little bit for it to lock. So when you wear protective styles 24/7 continuously, it's not to say your hair will still lock. It's just going to slow down the locking process. And that's only if you wear a protective style. Literally, the only time your hair is out is at a retightening, and then you get it protected, and you put it in a protective style, and then you take it down, wash it, put it in a protective style, take it down, wash it, put it in a protective style. Like, if your hair is never out, don't get me wrong, your hair will still lock. It will just extend the amount of time it's going to take for your hair to lock, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comment if that's making sense to you, because I wish I can give, y'all know I like my visuals, okay? I love my visuals. I wish I can give a visual, but I would literally have to do some type of comparison over time. And yeah, I don't quite have that data. So, but keeping it in protective styles 24/7, meaning that the only time your hair is out is during the retightening and when you shampoo, and then it goes back into a protective style, your hair will lock. It will just take a longer time because you're not allowing room for your hair to be itself. That's the best way I can say it. You're not allowing room for your hair to be itself. You know, when you think about yourself as an individual being confined, right? You're like, confined. You feel kind of robbed a little bit because you're like, I can't be myself. But then the moment you feel like you can be free and be yourself, you're like, you're all over the place. Yes, yes, yes. Then you feel a whole lot better. You're allowed to be yourself. However, wearing protective styles, just to, like the examples I gave, to at night, and you take it down in the morning during a workout, and you take it down when it's dry, or you wear, you know, a protective style for a week, and then you take it down and it's free for like a week or two or whatever until you get your retightening. That will not interfere with the locking process, because baby, trust me, the moisture in the air, everything else, the humidity, all that stuff helps the hair to lock. Okay, so it is still going to be itself, even if you do protective styles. You know, you keep your hair up for a week or two, and then you let it free. You let it be. So that will not affect your, will not slow down the locking process. It will allow your locks to expand and be free and be itself, you know, versus keeping it in a protective style 24/7. It cannot expand in the way it wants to, because, you know, our locks, when left alone, it swells and then it gets compact. So when you keep it in a protective style 24/7, it just bypasses that whole swelling. It doesn't swell. It doesn't do all that. It's just eventually gets compact and fall in line and do what it has to do. So I hope I answered that question as far as does it interfere with the locking process. So my no came in for when no, because if you're wearing protective style just temporarily, it will not interfere with the locking process. So my recommendation to you is wear protective style as needed basis. Don't wear it all the time. Let your hair be free. Let it be out. Let it be out. You know, so let it be free. Unless you're trying to, you know, if you're braiding it at night, braiding it during a workout, and you're taking it down, you're good. It's not going to interfere with your locking process. It's not going to interfere with your locks being itself and building its own character, being its own self, okay? So that is pretty much it. That's what I have for you on Protective Styles. If you have any additional questions, I am happy to help. So let me know in the comments, what benefits have you gotten from Protective Styles, and or what's your favorite Protective Styles to wear? For me, it's braid out. I love braid outs. Love them. Because them curls just be popping, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I love curls, y'all. So, so let me know in the comments what's your favorite protective style. And if you're, newly locked and you're experiencing some of the things I've discussed, which one are you dealing with, and which one are you experiencing and how you're dealing with them? So, all right, y'all, that's all I got for you today. Please, if you're still watching and you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And I will catch y'all next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.